is Heather or Miss Tittus if you're one of my students coming over from Google Classroom. Today we are going to be learning what a Zen Doodle is. So a Zen Doodle is pretty much a doodle or a drawing that you do to calm yourself down, zen yourself out, and relax. So these designs are sometimes kind of repetitive. They're made of line and shape, and you're just repeating line over and over again until you fill up the whole paper pretty much. And with Zen Doodles, they're never going to look the same ever, and it's really up to you. There's not really a set design or a look that you're going for. It's a more abstract type of art. So a Zen Doodle, or also called Zen Tangle, like I said, is more focused on the mood that you're in while you're creating it, trying to calm yourself down, relax, take your time. It's not something to be rushed. A couple of Zen Doodles that I did before I even knew what Zen Doodles were, I have in my sketchbook from high school and college. So here is one example. I have another example here. So these are pretty complex with a lot of different lines, but if you look closely at the lines, they're not super neat. A lot of them run into each other, but since it's so busy and so complicated, any of your mistakes kind of disappear. So look at this more than one way. It is a more abstract form of art, so it doesn't really matter what the end result looks like, and the more you practice at this, the more complex designs you can come up with, and the more interesting results you'll end up with. So what I'm going to show you guys first is a couple of examples of how to do different types of Zen Doodle designs that already exist, and of course you can think of your own based off of Zen Doodles or Zen Tangles that you look up, or what you've seen from here, just changing it a bit. Again, it's completely unique and up to you guys. So the first one that I'm going to do is kind of like a sun ray, where I'm going to start at my corner and I'm going to go out diagonally from this corner out to the other edges. Something pretty simple. And of course, once you have this design, you can go back in and add your own details, make it a little bit more complex, make it look like a flower by adding the center part. Or if you want, you could add additional lines, make the lines closer together. Taking this another step further is we could have lines going diagonal across, and then having lines go diagonally the other way, but this time I'm going to stop when I hit the lines and continue on the other side. So it looks like it's going underneath. And then I can keep repeating this with lines in different directions. So now doing vertical lines, again trying to keep these even with the lines on the other side so it looks like it's going directly underneath. And I can keep doing this until this square or spot is full. When you're creating a Zen Doodle, you're not going to want to split your paper into boxes like this. You want it to be a little bit more natural. So some people do the shapes of flowers, some people just kind of divide the paper in chunks. So it's kind of up to you, and I'll actually link a couple examples of people doing Zen Doodles or Zen Tangles in the comments below or description below. And make sure you take your time. So I'm kind of rushing and I messed up here a little bit, but the good thing about this is that when you mess up and you have it completely done, those mistakes or mess ups kind of start to disappear. And something that seems pretty simple became pretty complex pretty quickly. For my next one, I'm going to divide the paper with pretty much like cross-hatching, where I'm going to draw my lines down and then draw my lines across. So vertical and horizontal lines crisscrossing. And then I'm going to go in and start making this a little bit more detailed. So in my boxes, I can put horizontal lines, then go to the next one, put vertical lines, then horizontal lines, and keep going back and forth until this whole section is full. And then I'm going to flop when I get to the next line. And again, the slower that you do this, the neater it's going to look. Okay, and something that was pretty easy to do, but begins to look complex really fast. My favorite thing to do is start with some objects. So I'll just do simple shapes like circles. I like to do flowers with this technique, and I can show you an example of that later. And then after I get my shapes down, I'm going to continue that shape around it, or like outline it, and keep going until the paper or the section is full. So now they start to run into each other, so I'm going to do around both of them. And I try to make the lines not run into each other for this one. And then I fill in the spaces. So again, I just started with an object or a shape and then built lines around it. Another thing that you can do is split your paper or your section into chunks, and then have lines going one way, and then in the next row have them going the opposite way. Okay, now that I've showed you a couple of different examples of how to create a Zen Doodle, we're going to kind of combine some of the ones that we talked about. The first thing I want to do is kind of split my paper into different sections. So each of these sections is going to have a different Zen Doodle in it, or a different design. And of course, once I get going, I can add more sections if I'd like. I want to make some lines thicker, some lines thinner, to change up the look of that section. And after I split this up, I'm going to go into a time lapse so you guys can see the whole entire process. This is something that takes a while, so make sure that you give yourself time to do it, and make sure that you can kind of relax and let yourself do this without having anything else distract you. Maybe listen to some calming music. All right, now that I have it split into sections, I'm going to go into time-lapse mode. how you do a Zen Doodle. I hope you guys liked it and that you guys try it out on your own. Again, here is the final version, and it might look complicated, but it's really not once you break down all the steps. You just take it one step at a time and then keep building lines on top of lines. You can use any drawing material that you want. I like to use black pen or black marker. It works really well, but if you want to use something colored, that's fine. If you use pencil, just be careful that it might smudge with your hand, or if you're using a marker, if it doesn't dry automatically or right away, your hand can smudge it as well for the marker. As always, I always look forward to hearing your ideas, so if you have any art related content that you want to see, please comment below, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Bye!